Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about, I'm not really going to be talking about, I'm going to show you my entire presentation development over the entire semester. I decided to record a majority of what I did, how I did it, and different points that could have come up to be useful, or different aspects that I found challenging. Overall, this is more of a documentary than me explaining how I did things. I will jump in from time to time explaining how I did those things. For example, there will be aspects where it's not really clear. There will be reflections that need to be followed through. But overall, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I hope you guys all did as well. Thank you for listening, and hope you enjoy. I'm probably gonna need a bigger space than this. So the idea is I need a room where I can watch multiple games at once while also keeping a limit on the amount of people that can play at a time. And because there's only one of me, and there's probably going to be a lot more than like 2 people playing in this tournament, I'm gonna need like a space in which I can watch people play. 4 PCs are able to be used, but what I need to do in order to get them in a usable state for the competition is I need to sign in, go into offline mode, play Hollow Knight, sign in, go into Hollow Knight, go into offline mode, sign in, offline mode, Hollow Knight, and then open OBS in every single one of these, attach it to an SRT with the command prompt or IP config from this PC here. I need to relay it back to the vMix, and then these PCs will become usable for the assignment. I need to create visuals on the actual screen, so graphics, record it so that I have something to present later on. So, what is a tournament without an actual game? What we need to really establish here is what kind of game are we looking at? Well, we're looking at Hollow Knight. Now, Hollow Knight traditionally isn't a competitive match, it's more of a difficult platformer-based storytelling game. So how do we take something like that and then turn it into a competitive esports tournament? Well, the answer is quite simple. We take the single area known as Godhome and turn it into a boss fighting gauntlet, essentially. So the basic summary of the event is there's going to be 3 rounds of qualifiers. There's going to be a basic boss fight chosen by judges or players. I decided to choose them. Then for the quarterfinals, we had Pantheons 1 and 2, which are essentially just gauntlet runs of simple bosses, but somewhat challenging. Then there's semifinals, which are the Pantheon 3 and 4, which are the same thing, but a little bit more difficult. And then the grand final is the same thing, except every single boss in the game in progression of difficulty. We played to win points. We didn't play for fastest time. We didn't play for how far you got in a Pantheon. You played for how many points you got in a Pantheon, which gave a little bit more of a flair. So points were gained by what charms you used, if you weren't charmed, charmedless, or charmed out, if you decided to use bindings, or if you managed to complete the Pantheon. That was how the point system worked. So, first of all, we had the desktop capture and we had the overall streams. Obviously, I didn't capture this all on one PC. This was split between 5 different PCs. The first one being the main PC, the main master PC, which was the vMix setup, which would be what you're seeing on screen right now. Then we had the 4 different capture cards with OBS and Hollow Knight on each PC. How I did that, I went to add input, I went to the SRT stream, went to SRT listener, added a port to each one, 5001, 5002, 5003, and 5000. Then I went to command and then linked them all back to this one. OBS streamed it, grabbed the link, added the port at the end, and it just streamed so beautifully and everything was great. All right, documents, God knows how much. We have a working setup with working graphics. Oh my God, look at this shit. Lifeblood, it's working. We've got the Lifeblood, which I'm pretty sure is this PC here. So we have a decent setup. Changes to Lifeblood with the transition. I want to do this.
That's so sick. That is so cool. For later graphics, I want to implement like a leaderboard here, but that's not necessary because I can just do that on a spreadsheet. As for everything else, we're all Gucci. We're all Gucci.
So a lot of people have been asking me how I created some of my banners and some of my graphics. How I did that was actually quite simple. I went into the in-game files and decided to take a majority of sprites that I needed for each theme. For example, if I was to do Lifeblood, I would look through the game files, look for any Atlas sprites that contain Lifeblood or Journey's Blessing, etc., and then put it into a Photoshop file, export all these as a PNG imagery so that they're all like editable and like, able to be used. Then I'd be taking them from this file and then positioning them around everything here. So each of the sprites are positioned in a way where you can't actually lose any gameplay, but you can see everything that's going on, and that you have like a nice little template just to kind of differentiate everything from gameplay with gameplay. So you're looking at one person, when the screen changes, it changes to a different HUD with a different bit of gameplay, and you're like, oh, okay, so this is Abyss and this is Lifeblood. I decided to do that because I thought that would be, you know, decent. Wow, this is actually not too bad. This is pretty cool. This is pretty fantastic. What is going on? So a lot of the time when we're working with HUDs, we need to actually focus on how we're going to implement them into vMix. And how do we do that? Well, we go to the GT title editor and we basically import all of our designs from Photoshop into here. I'm using a pre-made one. This is all whatever. I've added some animations to text. I've added some animations to the actual banner itself or the little player card. And then I've created some HUDs, imported them to vMix, and this is basically what we get. We get that, which is pretty cool.
Hello, my fellow community. Today we are looking at everything that's going on. Here we have Team Pale Court, we have Team Godhome, Abyss, and Lifeblood, all of which will be presented on this massive screen here. Graphics that I created with different transitions. We will be recording and probably live streaming this event. So come on down to the Olive Garden and get your free breadstick.
He's fighting the bloody Radiance in my town.
Whoa, look at that.
Bloody Schizo, Abyss has made it to the Absolute Radiance in the grand final of Pantheon 5.
Spoilers. Oh! Man, that's right.
What is this man? It's elusive. No, he's not.
That concludes the Hollow Knight 2025. With Francisco taking the lead, the title, and the Pantheon.
Here you go.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
So nice with my collection.
This will go very nicely with your Hollow Knight collection. Treasure that. That was a lot of money.
No, I know.
Now, you might be asking yourself, why did I show you all that? Well, I kind of wanted to show how I did everything, but I also wanted to really get an understanding of how everything functioned in this tournament. And it'd be awesome if like you guys could tag along too. Now, a majority of what I learned over this semester was very tournament administration based. It was more about creating an event, creating that entire timeline, and then working towards a goal that ended up creating an amazing event, an amazing time. I felt like I could have done a little bit more in terms of a little bit of everything. Like in terms of graphics, could have added more graphics. Animated graphics would have been great. I could have added a lot of a lot more marketing materials. Marketing materials would have been phenomenal. Like the player count wasn't too high. It was like 6 to 7 people. But I feel like there could have been a better turnout. Commentary. That was the most important thing. I wish I had a commentator because that entire event was so much fun, and having someone commentating on everything, even if it was just myself or like a majority of that, would have made the better of a difference. It would have been so much fun to look back on and then realize, hey, I did that. Towards the end though, we found that a lot of the music the constant noise from the music was not great because we kept getting interrupted by YouTube. We kept getting interrupted by static. It wasn't fun. In terms of plan and flow, there was a lot of things that made the event run way over time, and it was just too long and boring. And that was with the first round, actually, the first and third, where we had to fight 3 bosses and then fight 1 boss at the end. So what we did was we culled it down a bit. We, instead of fighting 3 bosses 3 times, you would fight 3 bosses. The first one you would fight 3 times. If you failed once, you would get a second try, and then blah blah blah. And then for the third and second and third, it's whatever. But like for the second and third boss, you only get 1 attempt, and this was just to cull down points and then knock people out. The second round where you had to fight the Pantheons, we made it so that you only had 1 attempt instead of 3, because I didn't realize how slow people would play and how fast others would. So instead of having people wait there for like 10-20 minutes tops just for one person to finish, I just made it 1 attempt. If you fail, gone. In the end, everything went amazingly. It was fun. There was a lot of things I wish I could have done, but these are all learning experiences, and I'm glad that I did it. So thanks for watching.